Known for their strength and aggression, the Kula pride descends from the legendary Mapogos. Formed in 2016, the Kula pride solidified its dominance under the leadership of powerful lionesses, direct descendants of Mr. T and Kinky Tail, who expelled smaller prides and conquered territory with the help of strategic coalitions. In 2018, the arrival of the Birmingham Boys brought stability and expansion, allowing the Kula pride to become one of the largest groups in the savannah. However, this alliance did not last. Pressure from rival coalitions, like the Northern Aokas and Prince Ottawa, weakened the Birmingham Boys, who faced their final defeat in 2021 with the invasion of the Indi Zinger males. This forced a new alliance, pushing some Kula lionesses to join the Indi Zinger males, while others chose to flee with their cubs. This is the story you'll witness today, an intense narrative of power, survival, and legacy in the relentless African savannah, a land unlike any other. Here, only the strongest and most strategic lions survive, leaving a lasting mark. Among them, a lineage stands out, still commanding respect and fear: the descendants of the legendary Mapogos. To many, the Mapogo story feels like a legendary myth. Formed by 6 powerful males, they ruled vast territories, embodying absolute strength for years. With sharp claws and powerful jaws, they expanded their domains through a series of bloody, relentless battles, eliminating rivals and conquering territories. Among them, names like Mr. T and Kinky Tail became famous for their ferocity and intelligence. These kings of the savannah did not merely survive. They imposed their presence as sovereigns of every land they conquered. Their aggression and unity became a lasting mark in the memory of the savannah. Yet, like any dynasty, the glory of the Mapogos eventually waned. Amid battles with rival coalitions and the constant rise of new groups, the Mapogos faced the inevitable. Ambitious young lions saw their weakness as a chance to rise. Over time, the remaining Mapogos succumbed, and their territories were gradually taken over by new coalitions. Yet, the blood of the Mapogos continued to flow in the veins of their descendants, who inherited not only their physical strength and cunning, but also the duty to carry on the legacy. In this context, a new hope emerges. Although the original Mapogos have disappeared, a new generation is ready to take their place, carrying the same royal blood that once ruled the savannah. The Kula pride, a group of lionesses descended directly from Mr. T and Kinky Tail, represents this continued legacy. These are no ordinary lionesses. They are heirs to the instinct of survival and the power that once formed the foundation of the Mapogos' rule. They grew up in an environment where strength was paramount, and the tales of their ancestors were whispered as both inspiration and warning. Hello, folks. If you, like me, are passionate about wildlife, subscribe to our channel so YouTube can suggest more videos like this for you. Born in the proud Manong pride and later reorganized as the Kula pride, these lionesses quickly stood out. They were strong, aggressive, and brave, traits defining their ancestors and now forming the foundation of their own story. The legend of the Mapogos lives within them. Every move, hunt, and challenge they face reflects this heritage. But they were not alone. They had 3 brothers, young males who, for a time, shared their journey. However, these brothers faced the tough fate that awaits those who carry the Mapogo blood. Amid battles with other coalitions and the relentless pressure to defend their territory, the 3 brothers met different fates. One was killed in combat by the powerful Charleston males, while the other 2 disappeared, venturing out in search of new territories in Kruger. Their absence only reinforced the unity and determination of the Kula lionesses, who reorganized and strengthened their position in the savannah. The strength of the Kula pride did not go unnoticed. Across the vast savannah, other lion groups and coalitions recognized the power these lionesses wielded and even feared their name. They were known not only as the Kula pride, but also as the Inu pride in Wolosi, as their fame spread, gaining recognition wherever they went. As they confronted other prides and coalitions, like the Sparta and Salala, the Kula lionesses showed an unyielding determination, conquering territories and establishing their domain. True warriors, they not only honored the Mapogo legacy but also built their own story. A story of strength, conquest, and loyalty to the blood that flowed in their veins. In this brutal environment, The Kula pride emerges as the continuation of a royal and relentless lineage. And it is precisely here, where the fight for survival dictates each resident's fate, that the Kula lionesses begin their journey. The savannah waits in anticipation, for what is to come is more than a battle for territory. It is a battle for the right to keep alive a lineage seemingly destined to conquer and reign over Africa's plains. Thus, a new generation of sovereigns is set to emerge, and the story of the Mapogos continues through these lionesses, who will carry their lineage's name until their final breath. As twilight spreads across the savannah, the Kula pride lionesses prepare for another night of hunting. Each measured, firm step reflects a synergy that transcends common instinct. The group, now solidified as the Kula pride, is a union of powerful and resilient lionesses, heirs to a lineage carrying the blood memory of the Mapogos. They were shaped by the savannah, a land where survival is reserved only for the most adaptable and determined. From an early age, these lionesses showed they were different. As youngsters, still under the protection of the Manong pride, they learned hunting techniques and the art of defending their territory from their mothers. But as daughters of Mr. T and Kinky Tail, they carried something extra, an indomitable spirit marked by a desire for independence and the courage to face bigger rivals. This drive became evident when, in 2016, they chose to break from their natal pride and form their own group. This break was not a simple decision. It was a declaration of strength, a step to consolidate a new era of power and determination. The formation of the Kula pride marked a turning point in the savannah. Alongside their sisters, the lionesses adopted an aggressive, conquering stance, expanding the territory they could now call their own. Smaller prides nearby, like Sparta and Salala, soon felt the impact of the Kula lionesses' rise. Within months, these groups were pushed away, forced to relinquish valuable parts of their lands. The reputation of the Kula lionesses grew, and their name became feared throughout the region. They were more than a new group. They had become a force, redefining the limits of female power in the savannah. But territorial conquest didn't come without challenges. Amid their expansion, the Kula lionesses encountered coalitions of wandering males, always on the hunt for new partnerships and lands rich in prey. Coalitions like the Matap Pirates, Southern Matimbas, and Southern Aokas circled the Kula territory, drawn by the potential alliance. However, determined to keep their hard-won autonomy, the lionesses refused to submit to any coalition that might threaten their independence. In 2018, the arrival of the Birmingham Boys marked a turning point for the Kula pride. These 4 males came from the north, renowned as formidable warriors and leaders. The Birmingham Boys were precisely what the lionesses needed. Powerful partners who respected their strength and fortified the pride with their presence. The Kula lionesses, accustomed to fiercely defending their territory, saw them not as a threat but as an opportunity. The alliance between the Kula pride and the Birmingham Boys ushered in a prosperous era. In the early months of their union, the lionesses began producing offspring, a new generation that promised to carry forward the strength and courage of their ancestors. With each cub born, the Kula pride grew into a true dynasty, and the lionesses, now mothers, became even stronger. Their cubs, nourished by this ancestral legacy, quickly adapted to the harsh conditions of the savannah, learning life's earliest lessons from their parents. However, even with unity, an air of uncertainty hovered over the group. In the savannah, nothing is guaranteed, and each night brings fresh challenges and dangers. In the early hours one morning, while the Kula pride feasted on a recent kill, strange sounds echoed in the darkness, heavy footsteps and menacing growls. Other coalitions sensed the pride's growing power and, driven by the need to expand their own territories, circled Kula's borders, waiting for the right moment to strike. The lionesses and Birmingham Boys prepared to defend their territory, but the constant threat reminded them that peace in the savannah is always temporary. As they watched their cubs play, oblivious to the dangers around them, the Kula lionesses realized that the battle for survival was not just about physical strength but about strategy and loyalty. They were ready to face any challenge to protect the legacy of the Mapogos and the future of their own descendants. With dawn approaching, signaling a new day, the lionesses exchanged a silent vow to protect everything they had conquered. They knew that in the savannah, every moment of peace would soon be followed by fresh battles. And as the first rays of light illuminated Kula Pride's territory, it became clear that their story was far from over. For now, the Birmingham boys symbolized a strategic alliance, but fate, ever uncertain and relentless, awaited patiently to test their union. The sun now high in the sky cast light over the vast territory, now dominated by the Kula Pride and their allies, the Birmingham boys. What began as a strategic union blossomed into a powerful partnership, with each member playing a vital role in maintaining stability and security. Yet in the savannah, stability is fleeting. As their territory and numbers grew, challenges arose, testing not only Kula Pride's physical strength, but also the strength of the bonds that held them together. As the pride and fame of the Kula lionesses grew, their borders became increasingly coveted by other groups from neighboring regions. Rival coalitions like the southern Matimbas and the mysterious northern Aokas observed from afar, seeing opportunities in this fertile, prey-rich land protected by an increasingly consolidated coalition. But Kula Pride, determined to preserve their domain, met each challenge with unmatched ferocity, defending every inch of their land as if it were their last. It was during these days of conflict and expansion that Kula Pride revealed their true potential. The lionesses, agile and seasoned hunters, became relentless in defending their cubs and repelling intruders. In one particularly intense clash, two lionesses, known for their bravery and skill, led the charge against a group of intruding males encroaching on the areas where cubs played and learned their earliest lessons in the savannah. The fight was brief but intense. Every growl and swipe of claws showed that these lionesses were not just heirs to the Mapogo legacy. They were warriors who had earned the respect of everyone around them. However, the constant proximity of rival coalitions unearthed an internal tension that had until then been non-existent. Among the Birmingham boys, signs of rivalry began to emerge. Each wanted to be the absolute leader, and while the alliance with Kula Pride was crucial for their survival and dominance, they couldn't ignore the pressure of leadership and control. Small clashes between them became increasingly frequent, creating an atmosphere of tension that spread throughout the pride like a storm waiting to break. The lionesses, sensing the instability among the males, remained vigilant. They knew that in the midst of this leadership struggle, focus on defending the territory and the cubs might be lost. And in the savannah, vulnerability is an irresistible call to rivals. On a dark night, with the distant sounds of coalitions circling the borders, the lionesses gathered in silence, as if in a quiet pact to protect what they had built, even if it meant acting without fully relying on the Birmingham boys. They were prepared to fight until the end, with or without the males. The tension among the Birmingham boys continued to grow, but at a critical moment, external threats once again united the coalition. One morning, the group was taken by surprise in a coordinated attack by the northern Aokas, who attempted to seize a significant portion of Kula Pride's territory. The ensuing battle was fierce, and the lionesses, alongside the Birmingham boys, faced off against the invaders with a determination that proved that, despite internal conflicts, they would fight together when their cubs and lands were threatened. The fight was brutal, but after hours of struggle, Kula Pride and the Birmingham boys managed to repel the northern Aokas, who withdrew, wounded and frustrated. Once again, the Pride had defended its territory, but the victory came at a cost. During the battle, one of the Birmingham boys was seriously injured, and the lionesses watched as his brothers tended to him, now vulnerable. This moment of weakness reminded everyone that survival in the savannah is a delicate balance that can break at any moment. The lionesses returned to their cubs, aware that new challenges would soon arise. And as they watched the young ones play, a sense of urgency and protection filled each of them. They knew that, with time, the Birmingham boys, too, would face the weight of age and battles, becoming more vulnerable. The continuity of Kula Pride would depend on each lioness's ability to defend their lineage against any adversity. But danger was far from eliminated. Rumors of new coalitions to the north and west began to spread, and Kula Pride would have to prepare. Each conflict left scars, strengthened alliances, and heightened internal suspicions. Days of peace became increasingly rare, and the lionesses sensed a new storm approaching, once again testing their strength and loyalty. It was only the beginning of a series of trials that would define the future of Kula Pride. As days passed, Kula Pride achieved a delicate balance, supported by the presence of the Birmingham Boys. Their arrival had solidified the lioness's safety, allowing the group to expand its borders, gaining a large territory rich in prey. Together, they formed a coalition both feared and respected. However, this balance hid the constant tension of maintaining power in the savannah, where a single misstep could be costly. The impact of the Birmingham Boys on Kula Pride's life was immediate. In the first months of their union, the lionesses and males hunted together, increasing their chances of successfully capturing larger prey to feed their growing family. Kula Pride's peak arrived shortly after, when, under the Birmingham Boys' protection, the lionesses brought a new generation of cubs into the world. The sight of the young ones exploring the territory, with their first growls and unsteady steps, renewed the pride's hope, as if the spirits of the Mapogos once again watched over the plains. Each cub born represented the continuity of the lineage, but also an immense responsibility for Kula Pride. The savannah was generous yet cruel, and successful hunts did not always bring peace. When the cubs were only a few weeks old, the threat of rival coalitions began to loom over the territory once more. The lionesses, alongside the Birmingham Boys, increased patrols and heightened their vigilance, acting as protective shadows to ensure no danger approached the young ones. However, amid this prosperity, the internal relationships within the Birmingham coalition continued to reveal cracks. Rivalries among the males, previously subtle, became more visible as each sought to assert his leadership position. On a full moon night, when the savannah appeared to rest in peace, a confrontation between two Birmingham boys echoed across the territory. Roars and blows filled the night, alerting even the lionesses, who watched the scene from afar. This clash of egos, though part of lion nature, was a reminder that even the strongest bonds could be fractured by ambition. The lionesses, however, were determined to keep Kula Pride intact, no matter the cost. They knew the Birmingham Boys' stability was essential for their cubs' safety and the group's continuity. Thus, despite internal tensions, each Pride member doubled down on efforts to consolidate the territory and ward off any threats. Kula Pride was at its peak, but like any cycle in the savannah, it was also destined to face nature's relentless tests. In 2019, Kula Pride was at its most prosperous. With more than 20 members, including lionesses and cubs, the group seemed invincible. This growth, however, did not go unnoticed by hungry eyes from neighboring coalitions, such as the Northern Aokas. The savannah silently watched Kula Pride flourish, but waited for the moment when new challenges would arise to test this iron alliance. The lionesses and the Birmingham Boys, now a true empire, had consolidated their rule but knew that each day they became an even more attractive target. The threat from the Northern Aokas became even more real on a scorching afternoon when a pack of hyenas dared to approach the cubs. Although hyenas were lesser rivals, they posed a deadly threat to the young ones, and any lack of vigilance could spell disaster. In that moment, the Birmingham Boys, accompanied by the lionesses, united to repel the group, and a fierce battle ensued. Every blow and bite demonstrated Kula Pride's determination to defend its cubs at any cost. When the last hyena fled, wounded, it was clear that Kula Pride would not retreat in the face of any invader, regardless of their size or number. This episode rekindled the bond between the Birmingham Boys and strengthened the ties between them and the lionesses. Yet, the tension among the males served as a constant reminder that peace was only temporary. The savannah was a relentless testing ground, and each battle left marks not only on the body but also on the spirit. As long as the Birmingham Boys remained in control, Kula Pride would have the strength needed to protect its territories and cubs. But the threat from rival coalitions, always lurking in the shadows, was far from eliminated. As night fell and the starry sky bore witness to the scene, the Kula Pride lionesses gathered around their cubs while the Birmingham Boys patrolled the territory's borders, alert to any movement. In their eyes lay a blend of pride and vigilance. They knew that life's cycle in the savannah demanded constant readiness to face challenges, and that the peak they enjoyed now would not last forever. Just like the moon that illuminated the night but would soon give way to darkness, the Kula Pride understood that their reign, however strong, was not eternal. As the lionesses watched their cubs fall asleep, their small and fragile bodies sheltered under the shadow of their ancestors, a new sense of unease emerged. They knew that the next great battle was near and that destiny, with its relentless trials, would soon call on them to test their courage and resilience once again. After all, in the savannah, the only constant was change, and the desert wind seemed to bring a new era of challenges. With Kula Pride's territory increasingly targeted, the Birmingham Boys Coalition faced growing pressure. By 2020, only 2 males remained, fighting to defend the Pride against relentless attacks from the northern Aokas. In one of these confrontations, one of the males fell, leaving the last Birmingham boy as the sole defender alongside the lionesses. His fall marked a vulnerable turning point. While the Kula lionesses showed bravery, a new threat emerged. The Intrigante coalition, composed of young, powerful males who quickly advanced over weakened territory. In a final confrontation, the last Birmingham boy also fell, marking the end of an invincible coalition. Grieving, the lionesses had to choose between abandoning their territory or accepting the Intrigante as new partners. In an act of survival, the lionesses surrendered, forming a new alliance with Intrigante while 2 older lionesses fled with the Birmingham boys' last cubs. This new chapter would bring fresh trials, but the lionesses were ready. With Intrigante assuming control, Kula Pride entered a new phase. The lionesses, aware of the challenges of relying on new males, remained cautious, observing their every move. This ambitious young coalition sought to consolidate its power and adapt to the territory that the Birmingham boys defended to the end. Meanwhile, the lionesses managed the absence of their former protectors and coped with the loss of 2 who had fled with the Birmingham boys' cubs. In an uncertain environment, each hunt and patrol became a moment of tension and challenge. The Intrigante, in turn, proved efficient in defending the borders, but the balance between them and the lionesses remained fragile. Although Kula Pride was once again secure, an air of distrust lingered. To the lionesses, every alliance was temporary, and the fight for survival continued. The new cubs, born from this union, brought hope, but the savannah never allowed rest. A new cycle was about to begin, and Kula Pride was ready. Over the following months, Kula Pride adapted to this new reality, strengthening their defenses under Intrigante's watch. The lionesses stood firm, determined to protect the next generation as they slowly began to explore the territory. Each cub represented the continuation of a legacy marked by challenges, losses, and alliances. The lionesses' pride was evident. Even through adversity, they had kept the spirit of the Mapogos and Birmingham boys alive. Yet, the ever-relentless savannah reserved new trials. The alliance with Intrigante, like so many others, could disintegrate at any moment. And the lionesses, with the strength inherited from their ancestors, were ready for whatever lay ahead. And so, the Kula Pride story continues, with cubs growing and new threats emerging. In an eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, their lineage endures, a daily victory in the savannah's wild landscape. The legacy of Kula Pride, carved in blood and resilience, stands as proof that even amid nature's wildness, strength and determination find their way to prevail. And we reach the end of yet another captivating story of lion life. If this is your first time hearing about this lion coalition, leave a comment below and let us know what you enjoyed learning about these majestic lions' journey.